Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is a very special video. It's a Q&A, a question and answer with a foreign fighter that is fighting for Ukraine right now in Ukraine for the international foreign legion, basically the Ukrainian foreign legion. And so a lot of things, of course, he cannot say, but is hosted on the DPA Open Mic. He came on. He's a big fan of DPA Open Mic, and of course DPA channel as well. So he came on to answer some questions, and I would like you to enjoy it. And also do check out the DPA Open Mic. You will never know what you're gonna get. And I'll see you guys in the other side. So before we go on about the issue, I want to introduce Fak. Can you introduce yourself?
Hello everyone. So I am in the International Legion of Ukraine, like the Special Forces fighter, and currently in Ukraine, waiting like a week or so until the next rotation. You can call me Nikki. Nice to meet you.
Fuck my life.
Well, yeah, fuck my life.
So I just want to introduce a little bit. When I was always saying that I have a foreign fighter contact that is fighting for the Ukrainian side for all this while, this is actually the guy that I has been speaking to, and he had been sharing some information, which I almost never share with you guys, the information, because I have no sources to push, so I cannot just put something information that with no source.
We got a lot of questions for you.
Yeah, so before we go into the plane shot down, I think we should give time for him because I'm not sure how long he can stay on stream. Yeah, and he's taking in my opinion, he's taking a big risk by showing his face. So, I asked him, you sure or not? So, yeah.
My first question, is Ukraine winning?
I can't answer just the yes or no here. There is nowhere. Depends what you understand by winning. Depends what you. My definition of winning is just keeping the name Ukraine and the country on the map. So for now, it's winning. Yeah.
Let's try to ask good questions.
Is Ukraine a democratic country?
I needed to ask a question. What about the mobilization? Is it true that I saw a joke. It was a parody that the Ukrainians are now making jokes about how they're hiding as women so that they don't get conscripted, and where are the guys going when you don't want to get conscripted? Because I hear guys are switching houses. What's the situation with forceful conscription going?
See, now this is a very big topic, so there's multiple factors regarding the mobilization. Currently, women are not being mobilized, and that will not happen soon because that will obviously cause big instability inside the country, and they will practically lose the war because they're gonna bring down the government. They've had enough when that happens. So about the men. Many of the men, there's cases where corruption is a factor, like in every country has its own portion of corruption, including mine. Basically, there are such cases where, for example, men are not eligible for conscriptions if they're taking care of a handicapped person. Let's say you have a grandma which has a disability, you got to take care of her, and so on. And on that grandma, there are listed 10 people who are taking care of her, 10 different men, who some of them don't even know the grandma. There's that way. The other way is fake documents, forgery, just running away from conscription, because this is war. Everyone knows that they're gonna die, and especially after the failed counteroffensive, there's the issue of bad morale running around. Compared to the success after the Kharkiv counteroffensive, which I was a part of. Back then, a lot of people wanted to join, but this became as a stereotype that the Russians are a bad force, which I never underestimated. Not at the start of the war, not now. However, many Ukrainians did. And now they have the consequences, and now bad morale is the main factor. That you're gonna go and the country is not gonna provide enough for you, and so on. There's a lot of myths, a lot of truth as well, but the situation is that people just don't want to go up front because they know very well that first of all you have to fill the holes, the gaps, and after that they will start demobilizing if the men are enough. So that's the answer.
I have a question for you if I can. What's the availability of fuel like? Is it easy to buy fuel for your car, or is it being rationed, or is the price very high? Like
Biofuel?
No, to buy fuel, to buy petrol for your car or diesel. Like, is it easy to get, or is it being rationed, or is the price high? What's the situation?
Currently the vehicles we use are listed to all our respective units, so they provide for us. I haven't bought fuel in months, and the prices, as I hear, are decent. Like, you can buy fuel.
Is it safe for you to be talking about this?
What about the food? What about the food prices?
No, is it safe for you to be talking about this shit? Is it safe for you to be talking about this shit?
Safe for me.
Well, I'm not really answering anything as of certainty. I'm not answering anything. So
he knows what to say and not say. Just don't ask the question that you think you would get in trouble for.
Yeah, please don't get in trouble because of that.
I'm not going to ask you, hey, do you know where the M1s are?
I'm very sure that he will keep anything that is operational secret and things he will definitely not share. He will just tell you, sorry, I cannot answer. And so of course, don't ask stupid questions, So, okay.
I think we should just treat him as another guest. We don't need to put him in trouble or whatever. We don't know what's not what.
My question is about the food prices. Is still the same, or? And
all right, guys, can I say hello to my Ukrainian brother? We speak pretty much the same language. Ukrainian, Russian, they all come out, the Cyrillic come out from Macedonia. I'm sorry for my brothers dying over there, regardless what nationality they are. But I want to ask, why you say everybody knows they're going to die? Die for who, man? For Zelensky? For Bandera Sidel? For who die? Why they wouldn't just give the Russian, let them speak Russian wherever they want to speak Russian in Donetsk and have your country and peace?
He's not Ukrainian.
Million people died, man. Why? For what reason? Now you're going to have less of Ukraine? What is the problem?
Not Ukrainian. It's not Ukrainian.
No, it doesn't matter, man. Why people die over there? Why are you fighting? For what?
I would choose just to not answer that question because I'm not Ukrainian, man. My country is different. I have my own reasons to fight until the end. And
why are you there? You fighting? You've been active in the fighting, or just observer?
Please.
No, I've been active.
Why? What is the reason? What motivates you?
Because my country has seen enough of the Russian lifestyle during the Warsaw Pact, and I can tell you that it is horrible. It is absolute crap.
I know. I know. Communism sucks. I know. But why the fighting now, man? For who to speak Russian in Donetsk? What is the fight for? I don't get it. Millions of people dying. It doesn't matter, Russian or Ukrainians or you. I hope not, man. But what is the reason for? If I was thinking to
he answered your question, man. He answered your question.
You guys keep saying communism sucks. Communism sucks. Keep calling Russia a communist country. They are fucking communist. Guess what? Everyone in the fucking West is running away to Russia because they don't agree with the fucking LGBTQ. And you keep saying that LGBTQ is a fucking communist thing. You need to make your fucking mind up.
Guys, don't go into fucking black hole, change topic. We have now we have the chance to ask an actual fighter of the International Legion questions. If you want to go on a tangent about communism or a hatred for Russia, let's stay on topic for a moment.
May I ask a question?
Do you have any opinions on the drone warfare? How you see it as a threat to you personally and your unit, or vice versa on the other side?
all we can say.
How much? I mean, has it been a surprise how intense it's been or intensified?
I
As
mean,
much as
all
you
I
can
can
say.
say that drone warfare is very problematic for the average infantryman. I cannot specify any kinds of drones used by either side. I mean, there's enough info about that by now on the internet. You can search yourself, but um, drone warfare is definitely going to be the new type of warfare, especially if Russia modernize their drones because they're falling behind. But it's very problematic just being a normal soldier on the ground, and drones can spot you immediately. They can, especially the kamikaze ones. Or right now Russia is experimenting with ATGM type of drones, so that is going to be an even bigger problem.
Upgrade, speak. Ask your question.
Yeah. How is the mood between the international fighters and the Ukrainians? Do you communicate a lot with them, or are you separately? I mean, if you can answer that question.
I didn't understand the question. Like my personal relationship between the other people, or
Yeah, like what do you really are you separately operating, or are you integrated with some Ukrainians together? Do you talk with them? Do they give you some feedback, like basic feedback, how it went on the front, or are you more somebody who's behind the line? Or
me personally, I'm active. Like I'm up the front. Like I'm in direct fighting face to face with the Russians. How the Legion operates, I cannot say because that is operational security. Um, but as we are a part of the international, the Ukrainian forces, you can pretty much answer the question yourself. Like, there is no possibility that at some point we won't meet friendly forces, so to say. Doesn't matter of nationality.
Okay.
I think we should
I
get
see.
back to topic. I think we should just
No.
let them
Andrew,
feel well.
have you got a question?
Well, I had a question, but I have many questions, but of course, not all of them
Just
can be
ask.
answered, I imagine. But I was just wondering, for example, one of the questions at the top of my mind, because I was talking about it earlier on the voice chat, drone operators, right? If you have any previous experience in an army, how new is the figure of the drone operator in units, and how do you relate to them? Is there some kind of direct communication between drone operators? Like, can you say that? If you can answer that.
I cannot answer that because I have had no previous experience in any army. I was a civilian
Okay.
before I came here.
Oh, okay, so this, you can say this is your first experience, a military experience, yes?
Yeah, this is, well, at this point I can say it's my first because I've been for some time now, but when I first came here, that was my first time I saw a gun in real life besides a pistol or any police force wearing something.
Okay. Okay.
Did you get
I have a
did you get
question here,
trained in
Voz.
Ukraine? Did you go somewhere else to train?
No, seriously, no. I was training here. Any training that was offered to me, and which is not bad, and just experience on the front line. That was my training, honestly.
I have a question about the counteroffensive. You mentioned morale. What is the feeling like? Who is responsible? You know, amongst you guys when you talk, because I know what a gossip circle the army is, right? I've been there. Who is responsible for the failure of the counteroffensive? Is the feeling that it was NATO's strategy that was to blame, or is the feeling more that like the execution was bad by the local officers, the Ukrainian officers? Like, what's the chatter?
No, the execution wasn't bad. I mean, the Ukrainian army did everything it could. I can't say anything bad about that. The forces I was with were great. They were trained. We were all good. We knew what to do.
Yeah, I think that's fair from the outside looking in.
The failure of the counteroffensive are many factors that I could talk for the next 4 hours all combined together. I would just say one of the biggest factors that I felt was the lack of presence of Air Force on our side, like enough Air Force.
Okay.
Completely fair analysis. Yes.
I had a question. Have you gotten to use any Western ATGMs or so? Yeah, and obviously you use Soviet era stuff. Did you ever have a preference, like which was more reliable, or which performed better, or what you like to use more? I mean, if you can.
I'm not really I'm not a heavy weapons guy. My role is an assault grenadier. I carry into battle in RPG. I also passed an EOG course. I use explosives, so I haven't used those weapons. I would certainly say that the Western are superior, but in any war, in every, this is what I said about not underestimating the Russians. In any war, weapons kill. Like if they brought a fucking catapult from the medieval ages and they shot it at us and hit us, we're still dead. So, yeah.
So there is a super chat that asks,
Yeah.
what's in your opinion the biggest strength and weaknesses of the two forces that is currently fighting?
I can sum it up shortly. The Russians, like always, prefer quantity over quality. It's a very complex question to answer since I always believe that the Russians mainly first used their crappy equipment, then came in with the more serious stuff, and they're producing forward and forward. Like they're just wasting their stockpile of aging equipment, which was gonna rot away anyway. There's no reason to keep maintaining tens and thousands of tanks and infantry fighting vehicles, all types of the 1960s and 70s. So they're using that. But as of recently, they're maintaining more serious and more new equipment. Some of it can be on par with Western equipment. I still believe that Western equipment is superior. However, the Western equipment, as being superior, is more complex, more costly to build, takes more time. So that's a disadvantage, as we can see. But yeah, it's the cost effectiveness of both units. It seriously depends on how you use them. So far, there are many weapon systems such as the HIMARS who prove to be highly effective. Then again, the Russians have their own weapon system who can cause you as much pain and suffering as you can imagine. I would say that one of their biggest strengths are the mines. The mines, they might be older 3 times than me, but they're very effective. Like these are complex constructs that to this day engineers have very hard trouble like getting past and identifying, let alone dismantling and disabling them. And these minefields can be spread just by airborne way. They can be shot up to you in the middle of your location. One day you're just walking through a clear field, and then you're surrounded by 10 kilometers of mines. It's a very interesting topic. No simple way to answer this question, but for me, this war will drag on. There are certain factors that can cause Russia to lose, and we're hanging on to them, simply economically speaking. And also, their regime might collapse. It seriously depends on many factors. We're talking about each nation's morale, each nation's just endurance to fight, endurance to continue the suffering. Because in war, there are no winners, honestly. Not me as an international fighter, not the Ukrainians, not the Russians. Everyone takes losses. Both countries take economic hits. Europe also took big economic hits, and so on and so on. We're just going to see who can suffer more.
So you think that there's a chance that the Russians will like surrender because it's too much pain?
They surrender because what?
It's too much pain. It's too painful. Like they can't
The
take the
Russians?
losses. Yeah.
No way, man.
No, I'm not asking you. I'm asking him.
If you take a look back at history from the Napoleonic advance on Russia, both Germany's advance on Russia, and so on, even the Mongol Empire attacking Russia, eventually being pushed back. The Russians have a very, very bad start, and they tend to get stronger as the war drags on. Like those
Yeah,
guys
that's
can
what I
endure.
thought too. That's why I wonder about like the idea that the Russians are going to give up.
The Russians giving up. It's gonna
They might,
if
but
that
I don't
happens.
know.
If that happens like a magic trick, it's gonna be some political reason, which it's above my pay grade to even think about. Honestly, I do the fighting, not the politics.
Hey, Nikki, question for you, and I understand if you can't answer it. You were motivated to go to Ukraine, obviously, by what you read and saw in the media at the time. Something triggered you to go to Ukraine and volunteer, right? My question is, now a year or 2 years, whatever it's been later, has your perception of the media and what you've been hearing and seeing, has that changed at all?
The media, I don't watch the media. I only watch the media to have a good laugh on both sides. It's for me.
So you don't.
When I have depression or a bad mood, or I just woke up and I still haven't brushed my teeth and I have that bad taste in my mouth, I just turn on the media and laugh a bit and then go to do my daily business.
You say CNN is a bunch of clones.
Can you repeat that?
CNN. So you don't trust them.
No, I have to brush them. I have to brush them because having tooth pain or any other serious tooth pain out there in the field is not the greatest feeling. On top of Russian artillery, mortars, kamikaze drones, and all that bullshit.
I think what he's saying is the propaganda is so thick on both sides, it's not worth paying attention to for him, who's stuck in the middle of it.
Absolutely.
I was going to ask since you mentioned it. Have you been under fairly heavy artillery fire for a long time? I mean, when they maybe under an assault or a preparation? Like
the only thing I can, the only thing I can answer the question this way. The only thing I haven't experienced yet is a chemical and a TOS A1 attack. I've experienced every other type of weapon on me. I even have I have a shrapnel wounds on the back, on the both legs, near the tight artery, and that's from tank fire.
Why, man? I just want to know why. Why are you there? What are you doing there?
Leave him alone.
Soldier, man.
Come
Come in Macedonia, brother. Come here to Macedonia. I'll offer you vacation for free. You just bounce out of there, man. I want to see you alive.
Macedonia, Northern Macedonia.
Vacation. Come here. Just if you can get
Mr.
out.
Lambo, some questions.
I have a question for.
You don't have
Well,
to fight there for somebody else's causes.
I had a question. Lambo, if you want to go first, but I had.
No, I just want to say I am very happy that we have somebody like you here on the panel. Thank you for that, to come along and say hello. Did you fight on the war front, on the front himself? Yeah. I just heard you had shrapnels. I just wondering, can you explain the experience in the trenches? Because I can't believe it was fucking creepy.
In the trenches, what exactly? Just like staying or assaulting, or
staying
what do you
there
mean?
because you are under the ground, so you see. It's a totally. I think you need to be scared at all these drones flying over you, risk to be shelled. I don't know how do you experience that, because it can be very shocking.
It's honestly
it's mentally very difficult.
I can tell you that each war, doesn't matter how many fronts physically it always has a second front, and that's in the mind. For me, my mind is not broken easily, either be it in a trench or in a freezing field or whatever. You can always bring yourself some comfort, even if you're alone. In the trenches especially, just grab a fucking shovel, make yourself a fucking seat, grab some water-resistant tarp, and you're all good. I don't give a fuck if I'm in a trench or if I'm in some basement. Certainly, I would like to not be. But if I have to be, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're very mentally strong then, because
Yeah.
did you have then colleagues that had some big mentally issues? Can you say that you have some people that really is freaking out because I don't know if you had some big shelling of artillery at certain points, and that maybe one person starts to really panicking or freaking out. It obviously need to happen. I think nobody is mentally that strong. No, everybody is not mentally that strong. Some people
Whoever,
also.
aside from someone who has been conscripted yesterday and can't handle that, everyone who I've been with has been fighting here for a while, and we've proven ourselves that it doesn't bother us. Like, of course you're scared. If you're not scared, then you're fucked in the brain. But we overcome that stress and everything.
Is it true that Russia are fighting with shovels?
What?
Shovels.
Yeah,
Never mind.
Didn't. I didn't.
He means shovels. He means like the
I have
shovel.
a
Like,
question. I have a question. Did you experience a change in the like the Russian soldiers how they were fight? Would it change? Because there was a time they were saying they're sending in experienced people. Did you guys like see a change in the forces you guys?
With the Russians, it depends from unit.
Yeah, like were they more effective or did they degrade over time?
Honestly, it depends from unit to unit. Everyone, it's individual, highly individual. Like if you meet a smart version, because come on, every nation has their own type of people with certain IQ levels. Of course, in every country, the idiots are more. That's just the probability. But eventually, you're gonna meet that one group of smart guys who are gonna use the right tactics at the right time, and it's gonna get really serious. So it depends on who you meet, seriously.
Well, I had you said Nikki, right? Nikki, I had a question for you.
Yeah.
How quickly does information come to the battlefield? I mean, if, for example, right? Because of course morale is an important thing, and so for example, if if something bad happens for the Ukrainians, how quickly does it reach them? Like for example, the fall of Bakhmut or something like that. Like morale negative information for morale. How quickly does it reach the front?
You mean the soldiers or the civilians?
No, the soldiers. The soldiers.
I don't know because I'm not physically with every soldier. I cannot answer that. Even if I could, I can't answer that.
Okay, so it depends. Were you allowed to have phones?
You can bring your phone with you, but it's unusable besides taking pictures and videos. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, I understand.
One more.
Everybody don't dare to ask you questions because they are worried for your safety.
The question we go, we're gonna get him in trouble, you know.
We have a lot of questions, I assure you.
But it's gonna get him in trouble.
So I explain. You guys can ask. He can decide not to answer. So you don't worry too much for him because he will take care of himself. Because
I can ask
confirm with him.
You know,
I can ask
to
one.
come on. Right?
Just get him in voice chat.
I'm not sure if he can join voice chat. So so the thing is, he may not be able to join the DPA speaker lounge. You know, So which is why
be the best place for us.
We already have one from that Ukraine.
I'm just saying
What is his name again? Forgot. No, but
what I'm saying is he probably can't do that. So ask why he's here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, we're happy this here, but I hope that you can do an interview with Wyatt. I hope you will do that in the future, and maybe give some other people to Wyatt to talk about the experience. You know, like really what I am is doing, but he is like working of speaking with only medic people that don't really see the fronts. So I try to stay in the war so neutral as possible. I just have my own ideas. That's it. That's why I respect everybody's choice. You know, to do what they want to do. It's your life, so you do what you want. I have one question: is comparing to the do Ukraine are they dependent like almost fully for the NATO, or do they still have old Ukrainian Soviet stock?
I first of all, I cannot answer that question, but I can tell you that even if they were solely dependent on their own stockpiles, even let's say, they like just the ratio. You should understand that any country that is not equal by manpower and industrial capacity to its adversary, it needs help. That is just the rule of the fighting. Let's say we put up the Netherlands against the USA. It is still an uneven fight simply by industrial, economical, and manpower capacity. So they need the support.
Yeah, of course, logic. Yeah, it's logic.
Vaughn, you're muted.
Oh, I was just going to ask real quick if you can. Do you guys get first dibs on like vehicles and stuff, the new equipment that comes in, or is it kind of whoever gets it gets it? You know, like M ramps or Max Pros, anything.
I can just say that we use every type of equipment that proves effective, both civilian and military grade vehicles. It's already been shown by many videos. Now, how we acquire it, what types, and that I cannot say.
Okay. I had a question. If you can answer this, is there or was there any specific military unit, Russian military unit, that was particularly feared, like was considered pretty like a formidable force? I don't know, Wagner, the Chechens, any?
For me personally, as long as you have the proper mindset, the mental stability, and the training skill, and good morale, of course, which we currently have, there is no tough opponent. Now, I will not say that they're all shit, but I personally can say that Wagner was one of the tougher opponents due to multiple reasons. Now, what reasons I will not specify, of course, but they were the toughest opponents so far. They are much rarely met at this point. But I would just speak as the Russian army as a whole because it is still, as I said, a very tough adversary due to simply sheer manpower and industrial capacity, and that is the biggest problem by now. Honestly, if it wasn't for that, if the fight was more even, they would be gone by now. But yeah, we're still keeping up the fight despite these differences. And me personally, I will fight until the end. Like I would say to everyone, support Ukraine. Of course, there are many bad sides that are being shown, but what country doesn't have its bad sides? I mean, the fight against Russia must go on. Doesn't matter. I see a lot of people saying support like Russia this, LGBTQ that, America this. No, it's the people shouldn't pick the side between the West and Russia. You have to fight against Russia because if Russia expands, that is going to bring much bigger geopolitical problems throughout the whole world than normal people can simply imagine. Now, that being that it's going to weaken the status quo, which right now is stable. Like, sure, everyone wishes their own country, who is not from the USA, wishes their own country was like the USA or like this and that. But if Russia wins this fight, it's going to weaken the status quo. And China is going to get stronger. And will suddenly, the Russians in general are bad. Are bad as a mentality, as a way of life. Everyone can show me the beautiful Moscow metro or St. Petersburg or some other big city. And what, there are like 5 big cities in Russia, but Russia is a big country and the other 90% is pure crap. Like, I want one person, supporter of Russia, to go live 3 months in Siberia, try to even fucking survive all the Euros, where they don't even have canalization. Like, I've been told stories by occupied Ukrainians where Russians come into their village and are amazed that the whole village even has a working canalization system. That their toilets house by house are connected and you can flush the fucking water. Like, if you tell me that you want such people to win and come and bring this crap, and the fucking toilet jokes are not just jokes, believe me. So I would not like these people to come in anywhere near close my country, and I'm Eastern European.
I'd like to ask a couple of questions. So, well, first of all, there was a super chat. Maybe just you can quickly answer this one, and then I can ask my questions rather. Is how's the food at the front, and then I want to ask 2 questions, short questions.
How is the food at the front? Okay, I'm gonna answer for the $5. Good question for $5. So the food at the front is basically food at the front. I can cook better myself in my own kitchen, but frontline food is sufficient enough. Every soldier at the front line, of course, is gonna bring some nice, good thoughts when it has a good taste, but it's frontline food. Come on, I seriously didn't expect much. It feeds me, I don't feel hungry, and I'm happy about it, because you can be in a situation where you don't have food. This is war. I mean, what do you expect? It's not fucking Gordon Ramsay gourmet shit.
So I've got 2 questions, sort of tactical ones. What is the impact of mud with regards to kind of tactical operations, and how are the 2 sides handling that? And secondly, what's going on with tanks? I mean, I hear a lot about how tanks are becoming less important than they used to be. And I'm wondering, I know that you're a light weapons guy, but do you work closely with tanks, and what kind of role do they have in the battlefield? So those are my 2 questions.
I work with tanks, and because I work with tanks, now the tactical situation I cannot answer yet, but I'll answer you that the tank as a weapon of war is not becoming obsolete anytime soon. Not yet. Not even when kamikaze drones, because you can just upgrade the tank to be kamikaze resistant. You can also use electronic warfare, which is going to counter the drones, and the tank is still going to run and shoot at you. So if anyone tells me that a tank is obsolete, they've never had a tank charging at them and shooting at them, which can blow off your fucking legs. And that thing is, a modern tank is not like a Panzer II in World War II or a Panzer IV or whatever. A modern tank is faster than a Toyota Civic and has thermal optics, night vision, and so on, and can even be equipped with ATGMs. So it's still a pretty scary weapon.
Yeah, thanks, man. I'm gonna jump off for a while so more people can ask their questions.
So you said that you don't want these people nowhere near your country. So do you still think that the thing we hear in mainstream media that Russia gonna go all the way to the West Europe is true?
No. I personally believe after Ukraine, let's say theoretically they capture Ukraine, they do whatever, they get to border Poland or the Baltic countries or whatever. Let's say that scenario happens, even though I believe it won't. It's enough for their influence on a global scale to reach our countries. So I don't want that. Physically, they won't. But the influence is enough to cause a lot of bad things. Like people mainly who support Russia are either generally stupid by the definition of IQ, which is like if you take this on official research, you can prove it scientifically that their IQ is lower, or they have no fucking idea what expects them. I repeat my points. I want every supporter of Russia to go into their scarcely populated parts, not Moscow, not St. Petersburg, the Gucci places. I want them to go into the rest of Russia, into Kamchatka if they want even, and try to survive there. And see how the LGBTQ free fucking nice Russian life is there.
Yeah, we have a guy called Dan. I don't know if you've seen him.
You basically you're saying 75% of the people in this street, because I believe 75% of these people are pro Russia. You
They
say
can be. They can be. I'm pretty sure someone records me right now.
trust me, I talk to these guys on daily basis on the voice chat, and you just call them fucking stupid,
Well,
fucking
yeah,
dumb.
But
I can get behind that a bit.
Yes,
yes, I
yes,
can get behind. It
I did.
depends. It depends. Yeah. No, there's
I did.
definitely pro-Russia people that are absolutely retarded. It's I mean, it's also on the other side, of course. But I will admit there's a lot of retarded pro-Russians. It's no lie.
There are.
I'm
I
not
don't know
saying
if I
anything.
would
You
go
know,
to war because of the standard of Russian toilets, but to each his own. I say,
upgrade. You
Your
may go.
question. What was your best advice you received since you went to the war?
Don't die. Apart from that, my best my best advice was like the best advice was don't die, like leave anytime, because I can leave anytime I want as an international. But if any serious, more complex advice was never underestimate the Russians, which I didn't even need this advice. I follow this advice to this day. Never underestimate. Should it be the Russians or any kind of enemy? Do not underestimate them. Like I might say that the majority are stupid, but there's always that small percentage which you might meet face to face on the battlefield, which are, you're cool, but they might be cooler than you, and if you underestimate them, then you're dead.
And do you think there was a little bit of underestimation after they pushed Kharkiv easily and they pushed them out of Kherson? Do you think there was a little bit of like, we're gonna do it, we're gonna push them back, big Russian army, they're always talking about that they're the number one in the world and they're getting pushed back. Do you think there was a little bit of a psychological point where the Ukrainians thought it would be easier than they thought, or not?
Some of the units, yes. On a individual soldier level, I can bet that there was, but that is on an individual soldier level, which unfortunately is not always controlled by any army, any hierarchy, the Ukrainian army included. The Russians have this problem too. Sometimes in both armies, the soldiers underestimate each other and bad things happen. Unfortunately, this was on our side, and the enemy exploits the weakness that this caused. So far, we have learned and adapted from this, and we're expecting the same from them, and we're doing it right now. That is why no big breakthrough can happen.
Okay.
I have a question about the future. You mentioned, you can leave anytime you want. If it did happen that there was like a political settlement and the government gave up and there was an insurgent war, do you think that a lot of the soldiers serving there now would work in that insurgency and keep fighting the Russians as an insurgent force? Or do you think the international soldiers would just go home and that people would just give up?
That depends from international to international. For our motives generally are the same, but also everyone has their different. We're generally united in this fight, but each one of us has their own motivation. Now, whether someone would want to be a part of this insurgency or fight against it, or even take any part of it, is highly individual. I cannot answer for everyone.
Okay.
And I would
So
keep
I
the opinion about myself to myself.
I have some questions and remarks.
I just want to say, there is
I
at
was
least
also-
four people here that I been following for a long time, and these people they are pro Russia, and they always come with good points.
So don't get into the emotional points.
I'm not gonna name anyone, but they at least four guys here I know they always come up with good points, and you basically abuse them.
I think they're all
Listen,
neutrals.
I can just shut
Let
every
me
pro-Russians.
use a bit of
Every
him.
pro-Russian who tries to bring me up the fucking victim game, because it all comes down to this when you start arguing like the territories are Ukrainian, but no, they started bombing the pro-Russian Ukrainians or Russians in Donetsk and blah blah. Bro, this could have been much easily settled. Let me tell you, if the people in Donetsk and Luhansk want to be a part of Russia so much, Russia has, as I said, so many regions, very scarcely populated, where they can go and happily live as inside Russia as Russians. You cannot tell me that if they want to stay in a sovereign country's territory, there is no such thing as this. I bought a house here, I rented a house here. I suddenly became a fan of Russia. Basically, this 1 square meter or whatever the fuck it is automatically Russian because I'm pro-Russian. There is no such thing. Take that group of people, send it to Russia, and they can be Russians all they want. But instead, they started a separatism by international law that's illegal. That is a force that must be dealt with. We've already seen this in the Middle East. We've already seen this even in the old Balkan wars. These people, they don't want to be, same with Kosovo and Serbia. All these little small countries which basically identify something else and become independent, for me that is not right. If you identify someone else, for example, let's say tomorrow I identify as American, that doesn't mean that my European country should take my house, my apartment, which I have there, and automatically become American territory. It doesn't work like that. Doesn't matter if they're bordering or if they're separated by a whole fucking ocean. Send the people to Russia if they like Russia that much. The Ukraine wanted to take back its sovereign territory.
My turn.
RL, go on.
My turn. First, the question. What's the Russian weapons you fear the most?
The Russian weapons?
The Russian weapons, because you are fighting the Russians. What's the weapons you are fearing the most?
I would say the thermobaric MLRS one, because if that thing lands right on top of you, even if you don't, if it lands in the center, your helmet and armor is going to melt into you. You're going to be you're going to become a fantasy character from Warhammer. If it lands somewhere in the outer circle, your internal organs are going to be blown apart. And no gas mask, no armor, no protection is going to help you from those blast waves. So your only option is to not be there. And you can't just go into a basement and hide from it because the thermobaric toxic gases are going to reach you and choke you inside. The flames spread. So that is a very terrifying weapon.
Have you seen the victims before?
Wait, for fuck's sake. Not bad for intervention, isn't it? So, just remarks. You forget about history. Because before Donbass was in Ukraine, it was Russian. Same for people in Crimea. I mean, Soviet Union, those bad guys from Soviet Union, where you people and your country suffered so much. They were part of that shit. And the people during that
Ukrainian
time were communist party. So among your own people, your father and your grandfather suffered thanks to your own nationals who were working with what you call the Russians. And it was Khrushchev, an Ukrainian, who gave Crimea to Ukraine. And before that, it was Stalin, a Georgian, who killed many, many people inside Soviet Union and mainly Russians. That's history. You make up your own way. That's your business, not mine.
I will answer that question.
About people from Kamchatka, they live there. They can move to St. Petersburg, to Vladivostok, to Kazan, to I don't know where, good place in Russia. No, they stay where they are. They don't have sewage. They don't have electricity. They don't have toilet. So what?
Nikki,
It's like
Let
you
me
telling an African guy who live in a place with no water, with no electricity, with no roads, that is inferior, stupid. That's
let me
what I
ask you
call
something.
supremacist. You must think about it before talking like that,
let
because you are
me
deserving your cause.
let me answer your question, your statement actually. You went
Yeah.
back into history as far as it is convenient for you, I see. If we go in and even before that,
I
during
say
medieval
you
times,
take history convenient to you.
Well, let him finish so we can see what he
as
says.
I said, Ukraine was an old independent state which had medieval wars with Poland for the legendary city of Lviv, even before Russia ever integrated as a part of the Soviet Union. So Ukraine was much more independent even before that. So
But
you going back to the Soviet
Ukraine are
Union,
you talking about? Are you talking about Ukraine with Lugansk and Donetsk? Are you talking about Ukraine with Crimea? You see,
uh, I am talking about Ukraine since it fucking existed. Also,
that means
do not.
which geographically speaking Ukraine are you talking about?
Well, Ukraine as it existed. Now, what happened with Ukraine is another story throughout history. Same with Poland. Poland basically disappeared during World War II, but here it is again. Geography changes. For my own country, you speak about my grandfathers and so, but my country actually was in allied with the Axis powers during World War II. So who exactly my grandfathers fought for? Certainly, it wasn't with the Russians. Um, One more thing about I'm not calling the people of Russia inferior. I'm calling the national ideology and mentality inferior because as humanity must progress, we've invented the jet plane, we've invented modern medicine, and so on and so on and so on. Last thing Russia was known was sending the first man into space. That was the greatest achievement, which came after the big space race during the Cold War. If it wasn't for that, God knows where Russia could have ended. Russia is known throughout history, since you want to talk about history so much, as with its inferior technological advancements, which do not affect just military power, but also affect the quality of life of its citizens. Now, a country leading its people to a bad choice of life is not always the choice of the people. Each country gives its own people its choices how it can live, especially in Russia's case, it reduces this choice. Since you talked about the Kamchatka people, you said the people from Kamchatka can move to St. Petersburg. I can tell you that those people can't earn enough in a year to buy a ticket from the eastern part of Russia to go to St. Petersburg, let alone move it, let alone paying rent for 2 months, as is the standard of life in Russia, that you have to prepay rent. Do you imagine in my country, for the time that people from Kamchatka have to save up for 2 months of rent and a ticket from Kamchatka to St. Petersburg, in my country, people can save enough money in that period to buy a whole fucking apartment and save their kids, like pay their scholarship and so on. Now do you see the difference? And this is not the Russian people. This is well, it's basically also the Russian people because they seem fine with it, but the quality of life is very poor, which comes
and
from the
so what?
country within.
But where is
And
peace
Let me
here?
so
ask
Like,
you.
what?
Let me
if
ask you.
Putin can
Can
fix
I
the
ask my
toilets,
question?
do we have
Yo,
peace?
yo,
Like,
yo, Toby. Can I just ask
I
my
mean,
question?
wait,
Based
One
on
at
what you're
one at
saying,
a time, Jesus,
can I just
and
ask
raise
my
your fucking
question?
and so
hand.
what?
Yeah.
And
Can I
so
just ask my
what?
question?
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
Yeah.
the
Look.
Can you
issue.
say?
That's
Let me just
the
ask.
issue of your argument.
Yo,
And
RL.
so
Let me
what?
ask my question, man.
I
My
mean,
No.
if
argument
those
is
people
that
from
No.
Kamchatka
Danny
can
my
doesn't get to talk.
fix
argument
it,
is
that's
that the
their business.
Russians, the Russians have no right to enforce that on any other country, and they will enforce that quality of life on Ukrainians, which have a better quality of life right now than the Russians.
Yeah.
Another country
According to
has
many
no
reports we have
right
about the occupied
enforcing.
territories of Ukraine under the Russian rules, they are living better than under the corrupt regime in Kiev, because Ukraine, after the fall of Soviet Union since 1991, is a failed state. That's why before the war, many Ukrainians left that place because of corruption. And many Russians went to Canada, many Ukrainians, went to Canada, many of them went to Europe, and many of them went to Russia.
Yo, Arel, let me just ask
you
You
know,
can go to the middle of Siberia and say those people have a hard living standard. That's true. Come to my country. I'm living in France. I can show you people living in the middle of nowhere, living like beggars.
I can tell you how many Russians come to my little Eastern European country, because my Eastern European country, which has its own pretty high level of corruptions, they still deem it better than the great Russian Federation. And you basically talk about Ukrainian corruption, but you never seem to talk about Russian corruption and how much greater it is compared to.
Yes. There are corruption, especially in a country with 17 million square kilometers.
Yo, Arel, can I just ask him
I
a
mean,
question?
you have to understand the reality of that country.
Okay, I'm done with you.
Can I just ask you something?
And what's the point? Russians are bad. Russians are corrupt. They are not well developed. And so what?
If
That's
you want
my
the Russian
main
corruption,
point. And so what? They have nothing to export as a model to us. What are you talking about?
Black hole alert.
Hey, Arel, I'm going to say that.
That's my point. And last thing, I do not recognize myself. I do not recognize myself as a pro-Russian. That people must understand that. I'm
I
looking
don't care
for
what
truth.
you. Yes, you're looking for the truth. Yeah,
And the
you're
problem
speaking
is
from your.
when I hear my mainstream media, they are telling bullshit every day.
No, yes, I said that you were in the conversation, but I literally told everyone to not watch it. But anyway, I told you, you're still saying this from your nice shithole in France. You can move to Russia and try the great corrupted Russian life for yourself, and we can speak again. Now I'm done with you.
No,
I'm planning.
Disagree between you two, shall we?
Yo, Arel, what the fuck? Let me ask you a question.
No, Andrew had a question, and Andrew had his finger up, unlike Daniel, so Andrew should get to go, please.
No, sorry, Andrew. Sorry, Andrew. I didn't see.
Yeah, I think it should be a common rule, of decency. Like everyone should raise his fucking hand. But I was just saying. Well, two things. One, let's not get into ideology too much. I think we have the chance to have an actual a soldier on the front. Is something that we don't get often. We can talk ideology with any NAFO motherfucker on Twitter, but in this occasion, I think we should focus more on the both psychological, tactical kind of point of view from the soldier lifestyle on the front. I think that's what we should focus on, anyways. My question, which I'm not sure you can answer, is just the how. I know it's a completely changing topic, but how soon does captured Russian equipment get employed on the field? Like, for example, after you capture a piece of Russian equipment, like a tank, how quickly does it get used? And do you use Western equipment just as much as Soviet equipment, or less, or more? How does it work? If you can answer that.
That is a very nice question, which deserves an answer. About the capture equipment, I have no fucking idea, because I have personally not captured any armored vehicle or anything. That is for the people who actually use armored equipment, who give it later to us to decide. I don't know, like if they capture let's say a BMP, they repair it as soon as they can. If they deem it combat effective, they employ it on the battlefield. Now, how soon? I'm not a mechanic. I have no idea. About using different types of equipment, each army uses whatever is available to it. As to my personal preferences, I told you every weapon can kill all the same. Like, I use whatever I have enough ammunition for and whatever can help me survive. I'll put it like that. And for me personally, it doesn't matter where it comes. It can come from fucking Mongolia. I don't care.
Okay, yo, Nikki, let me ask you. Since you're talking about the Donbass, I picked up something. So, do you think then that will Russia be able to retain the regions, Donbass and the regions it has taken, or do you think there will be insurgencies popping up silently? Right now, they can't because they're soldiers. But do you think they'll be able to keep those regions for long, or do you have tiny pockets of insurgencies that are just silent now?
Um, I have friends who have friends in those regions. Let me just tell you that they're not too happy about the Russian regime there. They certainly need some forces, paramilitary forces, to keep the stability. Now, what will happen without is a big ass question mark. I cannot speculate. Probably
Do you
there
think
will
they're
be.
significant in numbers? Do you think they're significant, or they'll just be a tiny minority?
I mean, in those regions, I really don't know what the crackdown was. I have no idea what the guys are doing there. I know that the Russians are not doing the most prettiest things. I've met people who have lived in the occupied territories, um, who I've never heard anyone say anything good about. Like, I haven't heard one positive comment saying like, "Yes, I'm happy living here."
Do you
And I'm
think
not
they
just saying
will?
this out of propaganda purposes. I
Yes,
seriously haven't met one.
I'm not
Do you
saying
think they'll
that
be
is a
able to keep
propaganda.
them? I
I'm
was
not saying
asking, do
this
you
is a
think they'll be able
propaganda.
to keep them? I'm asking, do you think they'll be able to keep the regions, or will they have to
No,
will it be a big headache?
that depends on many factors like the willpower of people doing insurgency. Right now, with the military forces, there were insurgencies early in the war. They were futile, unfortunately. So unless they decrease the military presence or remove it completely, I don't think there would be any.
You're muted. You're muted. Upgrade. You're muted.
Oh, sorry. What about the civilian population? Because we still hear that in some places, in some villages, where it's near from the front line or at the front line, there's still people living there. How are they living there? How do you support them? And what's their state of mind? What they think? Because there's some babushkas who don't want to maybe move from their places because it's their house since generations. How do you cope with that as a soldier, as a military?
Me personally, I don't mind the babushkas. Like, for me,
I'm talking about like this. I'm talking about like how is it for us for military to be near civilians when you know that maybe 200 meters, 300 meters in the north or in the west or in the east, whatever, there is some occupying force who want to attack, and how are they feeling about it? How are you feeling?
listen, they are perfectly aware that they know where they are and what can happen. They've been warned, they've been tried to be evacuated, but their own choice. Like, it's their own individual choice. You can't do anything about it. It's not like someone said like, okay, live there, fuck you. Like, no, they have been warned. They've been tried to be moved in a secure place. However, they refuse to leave. It is their own choice. Just like it was my own choice to join this war, it is their own choice to stay in this dangerous area. What can you do about it?
I see.
But you move them sometimes also forcibly because you tell them now it's really too dangerous. You need to get the fuck out of here. We need to move you. There's no other choice. Was there some times like this, or
Personally, with me, no. With me, no. I've never heard about such things. Like, I don't deal with such things because I have enough problems to deal with.
Okay.
I have a question, Nikki. Exactly about civilians. There was this interview of this Ukrainian soldier from French TV again. So stupid media, but he said he was talking. It was during the siege of Bakhmut, and he was talking about the situation there and the civilians. And he said that a certain number of the civilians that remained in Bakhmut were kind of pro-Russian and could be sending information to Russian sources and stuff. Have you ever? And has that ever happened to you? Have you ever thought of that? Like, not have you ever told not to trust the civilians or something like that? If you can answer that.
I will not answer that.
Okay.
Whatever happens between the civilian population is strictly a problem of the Ukrainian authorities, and I'm just a soldier fighting on the front line.
Okay. Okay. So you were not told. You just clarify. Can you answer the question whether you were ever told or not to trust civilians or not?
For me, it's not a trust issue between civilians because I simply don't interact with them. I've during my whole frontline adventures, I've never interacted with anyone. I have my own tasks. I go to the tasks which do not involve civilians. They involve the enemy and my allies, and that is it. So.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question. Like for R&R, we call rest and recreation. For the international soldiers, what is the rotation like? Like how much time do you spend at the front before you get some time off? And if you do get time off, do you leave country or do you spend it inside Ukraine?
About my deployment, and I cannot speak about that. Maybe I can, but I will just choose out of security not to. For the leaving the country, as I said, no one is holding me here, prisoner, captive, and forcing me. I'm a volunteer. I can leave whenever I want. My personal choice is to keep fighting until the end of the war. I will not leave the country. I do not expect any problems while I'm gone. I have friends there who inform me about the situation. Everything is fine, so I'll be here until we finish the fight.
Oh, well, good luck, man.
I wanted to add on Toby's question.
Sorry, I didn't have my finger up. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just want to add on Toby's question about the international coalition of soldiers. How is it that you interact with some interpreters, or you speak the language, or how is the communication between the Ukrainians and the foreigners? How is it going, or can you tell us something about that?
We just have multilinguists. We have people who speak both. Me personally, I know all the languages. I know Ukrainian, Russian, English. I learned them myself because I thought it's gonna be a useful thing. I learned it back at home before I planned to come here. So yeah, that was one of the smart ones. Sometimes it is a struggle, but we manage to have a stable communication and everything works out.
Yeah, somehow it works out. Okay, thanks.
So how long have you been?
More than a year. I'll just answer it like that.
I can verify that. I have been talking to him for some time, for a very long time actually. So I can verify that.
Oh, man, thanks for working with DPA, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, I have a question.
Much respect, really. To come here,
I don't want to
about your experience was very insightful.
Vaughn?
Oh, I was just gonna say. I mean, if you can say, do you have any opinions about some of those guys that were there early that were making movies and videos, like that Vasquez guy, that were supposedly in like fighters, and it was questionable if they were ever actually doing anything. I mean, if you can, I don't know. I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Listen, yeah, it's proven on both sides. There are a lot of, how do they call them, TikTok warriors, Instagram, keyboard fucking. Yeah, there's the idea of people. Like in every country, in every community, there's the bad apples. There's a lot of people who try to scam, do fake donations, and this and that.
Did they cause you guys a lot of
What can you do?
problems early on? Oh no, I mean, did they cause you a lot of problems though, just because they were foreigners and you guys were with the international, just because guilt by association, some of the crap they pulled?
I mean, at this point, I can safely say that we've got only genuine people. Like every bad person has been weeded out, and it is only genuine, normal people. All the rumors that there's crazy or fucking bloodthirsty mercenaries and so on. No one here is a merc. Like, we're all volunteers. We get paid like the normal army. We're integrated as a unit. You can take Wagner, for example. Wagner is going to fight anywhere for the right price. We're just fighting here for one cause. The difference is clear. It's just stupid propaganda against us, like Nazis, mercenaries, whatever. That's just stupid. There is no such thing, honestly.
So my question is about different types of NATO equipment that you've been working with. I'm wondering, I assume that you've probably used. I'm wondering what types of different of equipment you've used from different countries, and what you can say about their quality relative to one another, relative to Soviet equipment, just sort of in general, or about specific pieces of equipment that you've used.
No, the Western equipment is good. It's not prone to failure as much as the Russian. I know this is the stereotype: Russian bad, West good, but it generally is the truth. It's the truth. I've been using mostly Western equipment. I have an RPG which is gifted by my country, which is made in my country, and it is not prone to failures, an RPG 7. However, the Russian RPG 7 are shit. Sometimes the rocket propelled grenades might get stuck inside. It might tear apart the booster paper, which might cause you to literally pull out the shell and just throw it somewhere because it's unsafe. It might blow up on your shoulder. Yeah, I really would avoid using Russian equipment.
I can ask one question. So, can you explain the different type of like foreigners that is in Ukraine? Because especially in the earlier days, there was like different groups. There was some in the territorial defense. There was the International Legion, which is I think you are in, and then there is other TikTokers one. Can you share a bit so that people understand what are the different grades? And some are paid, some are not paid. Can share a bit so that people understand.
About the International Legion structure, I cannot. That unfortunately is strictly operational security. How we work, how we are divided. That is, you can join the Legion and find out. But I can say that foreigners are not banned from joining other types of volunteer Ukrainian battalions. They can join that. Some do not accept foreigners, some do. So the International Legion is not the only place you can join. But about the structure of the Legion itself, yeah, it has its differences, but I cannot specify how we work, unfortunately.
There are some that is not paid. Yeah. There are some foreign groups that is volunteers, but they're not paid. Because I read something about that. Then there are those that are paid.
I can just tell you, you've probably heard about Rebecca Morawiecki, or however, I forgot her family name, that's American medic. She is not a part of the International Legion, but she works with Ukrainians. I can say it like that.
I'm sorry to kind of press on this. I'm not going to ask too much, but I just want to ask, are there any South Koreans in the International Legion? Are there any like East Asians? And I'm curious, are there any what about just South Korean equipment as well? Because I heard a lot about various South Korean equipment going to Ukraine. So I'm curious if you've crossed paths with any of that South Korean stuff specifically.
I mean, I just answered that I use Western equipment, and South Korea is not a Western country.
Right.
So there's the answer to your question. About the nationalities of the Legion, there are people from all across the countries. Now, about the number and if there are any, I will not answer that.
Fair. Okay.
I'm giving you 5 more questions because I have
got
to
a
go take a
question real
shit.
quick. If you can say, I mean, do you guys in the Legion, do you have like mechanized, some armor, like a heavy infantry, maybe mortar and stuff, like a traditional maybe infantry company or battalion? In that sense, without saying too much, I mean, do you at least have access to that kind of setup when you operate, or is it
I
mostly
mean,
infantry?
I know you're
Or
kind
does
of
it
asking me
depend on the task?
what. I know you're asking me what kind of fucking crap we use, but I will not tell you. I'll
No, I
just
don't
tell
mean
you
I
yes.
don't mean like what kind of
Like
crap. I mean like, do you have mechanized units, armored units? You know, a rifle platoon, a mortar platoon, a heavy weapons platoon, something like that. You don't have to tell me what kind of equipment. I just wonder if you guys operate like that kind of.
I told you I cannot talk about the structure of our units. I will just tell you that um, we are versed in all weapons and vehicles.
So you guys can do combined arms and stuff.
We got celebrity here.
I said we can fight with anything. Now, what we fight with, I will not say.
So he's about to leave for after a few questions. So let's let history legends have the floor to ask.
You have 4 more questions.
No, I'm just listening. You go, guys. I'm listening. I have.
I've got a lot of
Oh,
questions. History legend.
Ask a question. Come on,
History
he's here.
legend.
Ask a question.
I've
I
got a
have
lot
one
of
question.
questions for history legend.
I have
Wait,
one
wait,
question. No remarks. No remarks. One
I
question.
have a
Wait.
question. Okay, yeah.
According to you, do you think there are more Russian casualties, more Ukrainian casualties, or pretty much the same?
Casualties. Depends what you understand highly about casualty, and
Any
dead or
casualties, dead and wounded.
listen, casualties can vary from dead, wounded, PTSD, psychologically unfit, and so on. Certain people might, for example, me, might be a casualty twice. I've already been wounded twice. So in the official statistic, I've already contributed with +2 to the casualty rate, but here I am. Now, if you're talking about specifically personnel out of combat permanently, combat ineffective forever, I have no fucking idea. And I don't care.
I had a question. How do you see the changes in the front line? Like, is it as we see on the map, a fixed line, and people are fighting for these little differences, or it's very flexible?
Oh, I watched your video today, by the way. I'm a big fan of yours, but
I appreciate it.
and I also answered your question in one of your older videos. Like you asked about the weapons which the Russians captured, the assault rifles. I answered every type of assault rifle. Maybe you've seen, but anyway, back to your question. The mindset of the generals is very interesting. I would say it like that. According to their plans, even the most little piece of crap settlement that is basically 3 houses with 15 people who don't live there anymore might prove extremely strategically important. Now, when you see on the map, I'll just say it like this. When you see on the map, but that does not correspond to the reality at all. Like at all. There might be mines, trenches, fortifications, all kinds of dugouts, machine gun nests, all kinds of positions. Like what the Google map shows you is not what we see on the ground. I'll just tell you it like that. So a certain 1 by 1 square kilometer area might prove to be pure insanity to take for either side.
What's how many men was the biggest assault you took part in?
Like on a grand scale or my
your
own personal team?
Both in your personal team and in the grand scheme.
In my own personal team, I was a part of a unit which was about 40 men strong. We were an assault force in Zaporizhia. On a grand scale, it was still the Zaporizhia counteroffensive.
Okay. And how does it feel to be part of such a huge offensive with thousands of men? Do you see all the thousands of soldiers or not really?
I see them the day before. After a couple of days, I don't see them anymore. So the feeling itself of such a, especially if I'm on the assaulting side, is basically this is my asshole and it shrinks like this because I know that I'm gonna get fucked. I have a good chance to get totally destroyed. So, but I'm still here. But during that moment, especially assaulting, especially back then when I had little experience, because I've never been military in my life. For me, I just tried to survive there. Like I sincerely didn't want to see the people around me die, especially with internationals. Like we've had moments where I tell the guys, "Hey man, tomorrow after the assault, I'm gonna tell you more about my country. You can tell me more about yours." And bam, he's gone forever. Like I ain't gonna tell him shit. So I'm just trying to survive there. I'm of course trying to complete the objectives set by me. Like understand me, I'm not fighting with hate. I'm not fighting with like these fucking subhuman Russians, fuck them. No, I'm not fighting like this. I will seriously have no problem. Even in my home country, we have a huge diaspora of Russians. I've never had any problem with these people. I sincerely hope they just return so we can stop this fucking bullshit. But during such grand operations and assault, I know that I'm just one little drop in the whole ocean and I'm just trying to survive. That's honestly what going through my mind.
Very interesting. Yeah. And from what you say, there's a difference between elite soldiers attacking and other guys, right? Did you ever see units that did not want to go forward, or soldiers?
No, actually, I have not seen, even though there's quite a bit of videos fluctuating on the internet, which we've all seen by now. But I personally have not met with such soldiers. Um, Basically, it's honestly the only. I've had many morale hits throughout my adventures here. My biggest recent one, not like on a grand scale, but or total, absolutely. But my biggest recent one was when in my area of deployment, we heard that I think the 45th or 48th, I forgot 40 something number, Sver was the name of the Russian. The fucking brigade was literally called the ultra high powered artillery brigade. And when I researched it online, um, they had two pans, two 240 millimeter laser guided mortar bullshit, the four automatic Vasiluks, and when I saw that, like I was like, what the fuck, man? Like Jesus Christ. But yeah, that was seriously my biggest morale hit last time, but I go through it.
And last question for me. How are Ukrainian brigades or Russian ones, same question, structured at the front? Is it all the battalions side by side, or is it only one battalion at the front and three in reserve? How is it organized?
That is actually a very good question, which I want to know too. I cannot answer that. It's a normal army structure like every army. I'll answer that now. How do they structure the units? I will not answer. I've asked some guys around from the Ukrainians I've met, but I cannot say that because that would be more food for the enemy. I would not help them in any case with whatever. But I will just tell you that the standardization is very unusual. Now, what would that mean? I will not specify. Maybe one-on-one, I can sometimes tell you, but certainly not now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Mhm.
So
Okay, thank you.
I think
one last question for me.
Prata haven't asked a question before, right?
yes, how do you think, or how have been Russian POWs being treated once they got caught or they surrender? How do they treat you? Is there a formality?
I can tell you how I've treated POWs I've captured, but I haven't captured because every Russian I fought against gets fought until the end. Now, how anyone would treat any POW? Listen, so far Ukraine has captured POW, so they certainly don't execute them. I can tell you that much.
Would you
There are no
execute a POW?
what?
Would you execute a POW if you had the opportunity? Because you have shown some sentiment about the Russians.
No, personally, no. Now, if if you expect me to say yes on
No, I'm
live
not.
stream,
You never had that opportunity. You are saying. I'm just.
I never had, but if I had POWs, I would seriously try to make them safe. But the thing is that from all the operations so far, I've never had a chance. Each and one of them has been fighting until the end. I've never seen anyone surrender to me. I've never even had a chance to tell them to surrender, honestly. We've always been in intense combat. Either they've retreated or they fought until they've been killed. There hasn't been one case where I've cornered someone and I told him in Russian, like, hey, put your hands up, give up, put your gun down. No, it's always been brutal fighting with me.
Can you, Voss, you want to ask one more question?
Yes. My last question. You know, here in the West, we starting hear people saying that the money is gonna stop going to Ukraine. So how you guys feel about that? You still got your hopes high, or you thinking about giving up?
No, I'm never thinking about giving up because I know sincerely what I'm fighting for and why Russia shouldn't win. The thing is that I can tell you for the whole Western people who are going to stop support that if Russia wins because of that reason, you're on a global geopolitical scale, you're all fucked. So you can make whatever you want out of that statement, but you guys are all fucked because the status quo is going to change. Your Western countries are going to lose the precision power that you once had, and your economy certainly is going to take a big hit, which would have a big effect on your maximum wage. I don't know how much you guys earn. Maybe some of you have their own private businesses. Maybe there's a millionaire here, but it's going to affect you hard. Your everyday normal life is not going to be the same, and it's not going to change for the positive. I can tell you that much.
So on that note, do you guys in the Legion, do you see the whole world as being almost one theater? Like when you see what's happening in Yemen and Taiwan, you see this as like interconnected? And do you think that Russia might actually try and use its alliances to start other fronts? Do you think this war could go global, in other words?
I know something about Africa, which I will not share. As about Taiwan, I don't see how Russia could have any influence. That's just a matter between China and the USA. Why would Russia interfere into that?
Well, but it's interesting. You see the world. We have had a system where some countries dominate others. Well, from your perspective, they have a better perspective. They have a better view of how to deal with other people. But my question is, don't you think they are the ones that have been living through the colonial woke and so on would have an opportunity now to have a better chance in having development as well? Because your country as well was under subjugation from, I presume, not just one country, not just Russia, but many others in history. If I can actually guess where you're from, I would realize that you also want for your country a better future. Now you are probably with the European Union and you are seeing that future, but many other countries in the world are not with the European Union. They live in extreme bad shape.
And the fact that we had a unipolar world for such a long didn't change that. So why shouldn't the other countries have the opportunity in a more balanced world between different world powers to have that chance of having toilet to sit or water to drink from a tap?
I sincerely hope every country has its own canalization system and working toilets. I sincerely wish that to everyone. But I understand your question. Listen, many of the nations are not the same as each other. Like when they say every person is the same biologically, yes. When we're talking about religion, mentality of a nation, and so on, then that's a big fucking no. There's a reason why African countries keep being poor. There's a reason why the Middle East has terrorist groups, and you don't see these terrorist groups anywhere in Europe or in the West. There's also terrorism. I would say there isn't, but it's not on the scale that Middle Eastern shows. Also, the Eastern Asian mentality is different. Every country, every region breeds some form of positive and negative things. As I said with Africa, why are Africans so poor? I would not say I'm the most well-versed person in the geopolitical situation in Africa, but we all know that their economy is not the best. Like their level of education is not the best. I'm not trying to insult the Africans, of course, but only South Africa, the South African, I forgot the exact name, where Cape Town is, where the whole diamonds are. That country is developed simply because of that, where a lot of Dutch people live and so on. But that's the only country. Now, when we're talking about Nigeria, when we're talking about Sudan, when we're talking about Libya and so on, those countries, don't point that finger at me. Like, have you been to Africa? Have you seen the situation there, lived there?
No, I agree with you. I'm talking about something different.
Oh, I'm African.
Well,
no, let's not talk about his entire worldview.
But the question is not
it's
about
a very,
that.
very
It's
large question, Prada.
Don't you think? Yeah,
What
but he's
do you
answering
think?
it, so he's getting there. So you think these countries had an opportunity to be as developed like European countries, or do you think they should have that opportunity? And perhaps a situation where Russia also plays a good role in the world political organization can also allows that, because you believe it is not. So I'm trying to guess, why do you believe that in Russia playing this role of balancing is a very bad thing? Because for me, I think African countries and Southeastern Africa, Asians and Latin American countries have the opportunity to become also nice place to live, and I believe that it's just possible with a more balanced world architecture. But you say no. So
of course, every nation has the opportunity to be powerful, independent, strong, well-developed country. Now, many people, this is the mistake that people do, especially in this war. They're like, pick the West or pick Russia. No, I personally am not here because fuck the Russians, the West is the best. No, I have my own personal opinions about both the West and both the Russians. I'm in this fight because of my own personal reasons. And for me and my country, where it stands right now, I personally am not satisfied. I wish it was more independent, more stronger. We have our own currency, which could be exploited and be made into a very strong currency. But there's also the level of corruption. The mentality of my countrymen is suboptimal, I would say. I'm not saying that my country is the best. Fuck you all. No, I would shit talk my country all day. It's not the best at all.
So you also want something better for your country. That's nice.
Yes, like just like I had the own power. I was independent enough to go and walk my own path and go into the Legion and so on. I did my choice on my own. Now, not many people can do that. And this is just not about my adventure in the Legion. This is just about people in general in life. Every country, as long as they group together, unite, they can become, stronger with the right mentality and the right goals. They can be independent and strong. It doesn't matter if it's an African country or a European country, a Asian country. But that's generally the problem. The mentality and other factors stop a country with its own development, and the people, unfortunately, just accept it and suffer. Like, who knows? Maybe some African country certainly has the capabilities in time to become stronger than the USA. Maybe the whole of Africa may become United States, just like the United States. That is also a possibility. But people are different, nations are different, the mentality is different, everyone has different goals, and so they don't unite. The United States wasn't a country from 2,000 years ago like most of the European countries. No, the United States is a country from 200 years ago, which is basically united people forming the United States. That's why they're a big power. They did that. They managed to do that. And that's why United States are what they are today. They are a global power. And every country, every continent has a power to do that. They simply don't want to. That's the truth. That's a fact.
Nikki, can I? Is it okay if I divert back to warfare for a bit? Is it okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, based on your experience, like the delivery, like logistics for the Ukrainian army, do you think you guys get, let's say, ammunition? Was like, how do you think, like, if you run out of weapons or something, like, how fast do you think it gets to you if guys need them in the front? Do you think it's good or is it fucked?
It gets there. It gets there when we need it. Certainly, I haven't felt a lack of anything personally, except aviation, of course. That's why I really hope they give those F-16 sooner. It's gonna help us. But yeah, I haven't felt a lack of anything.
So, any more questions for our dear friend here?
Last question.
Last question. Okay, I asked the last question. Okay, are you able to review which country you are from after you say so many times your country? A lot of people making the guess in the chat, but no.
I would just say that that Macedonian guy is my neighbor.
Okay, good enough.
Okay.
Thank you, bro. I'll see you in the private chat. Thank
I
you for
was
coming
several
on.
times in Bulgaria. I think I recognize.
Please stay safe as usual. Like I always say in our private chat, stay safe.
Stay safe, Nikki.
Stay alive.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Okay.
Thank you for being
talk to
here.
you in the
Okay,
private chat.
let's move on to history legend.
Thank you.
Let's roast him.
Yeah. I just want to say to History Legends, dude, you're awesome. I love your channel.
Welcome back. Thank you for watching this around 1.5 hour plus of the Q&A with Nikki, and also catching a history legend towards the final part of this Q&A. And I hope you enjoy it. And if you like, what you see, and you may be interested to join the DPA Open Mic. DPA Open Mic is an open mic, basically allows any one of you guys to come on screen to chit chat and discuss or debate about issues, the current affairs, the geopolitics, or the war, in the issues that we are looking at all around the world today. And so it's a community. It's probably the most tight-knitted community in the DPA communities, and it's very, very special. I hope you come and explore and check out the DPA Open Mic. It will be an acquired taste, but over time you'll start to learn and get used to all the different personalities that is on DPA Open Mic, and you start to see them like friends, because you see them week in, week out. And to be honest, I speak more to these guys than my own friends, my own real friends. So you really become true friends. So anyway, thank you for watching. Do press the like button, subscribe. Of course, do go over to the DPA Open Mic, subscribe over there, and check out the next DPA Open Mic. It will be on weekends, Saturday or Sundays. Schedules, I will let you know in advance if I can. And I'll see you guys in the next update.